HRT, hormone replacement therapy, is it for you? After many, many years of going through so many symptoms and thinking I was losing my mind and this is just my plight in the rest of my life, I decided to take the plunge and try hormone replacement therapy. It has been phenomenal. So if you are here to learn more about HRT, you are in the right place because I don't see enough people talking about it. And I'm really here for the younger community. With beauty, I love helping women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s with makeup and mature technique. But for this particular video, HRT, I'm really wanting to help women in their 30s and 40s and really prepare you for what's to come and not to fear it. And but gosh, you're so lucky. You're growing up in such a great time because you're growing up in a time where so many people are now talking about it. There's more menopause experts than ever before. Even 5 years ago, I didn't know any menopause experts other than Dr. Christiane Northrup, she's amazing. But I feel like we're in a place where we really have so much knowledge, and I'm so excited for you because I think many of you will suffer less and you'll make better educated decisions earlier than I was able to. And so for that reason, I'm doing this video on my HRT journey. Stay tuned. Oh, and subscribe if you are here for mature beauty or even here just for hormone replacement therapy, or maybe you want to hear about my upcoming facelift. Subscribe so that you know when I have videos coming out. It also lets YouTube know that you are here for mature beauty, mature lifestyle content. Okay, it helps the algorithm. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle Spieler. I'm an over 25-year professional makeup artist, and I have a beauty channel here on YouTube. But if you found me because of the title HRT, welcome. I'm also the creator of Mature Makeup Masterclass. There's always a link you can click on to watch a quick, minute and a half video on what the masterclass is. So I was wanting to do this video for a long time because HRT really changed my quality of life. And there's a lot of women I know who are still in perimenopause. And so women like myself and many of you have paved the way for the younger women. My mom sadly passed away 4 years ago, and so I can't talk to her about any of this and what hers was like, but I do know that she had a very different perimenopause from me. And so even if I could still talk to her, she doesn't remember a lot of things, and her generation were very freaked out about HRT causing breast cancer. So here's where it all started. I'm going to try to make this brief, and I'm only here to help point you in the right direction. I'm in no way an expert on anything other than beauty, and even that is only my own personal, it's all subjective, right? So I would say in my late 40s, probably around 47, 48, I started noticing just easier weight gain, much harder. You have to work much harder past 45 to keep the weight off, much harder, which sucks. That's not fair. My husband can lose weight so easily, and he is 57. I am now 55. But what I really noticed, the first major symptom of perimenopause for me was brain fog. And my mom used to say, oh yeah, and it's for life. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh, this is horrible. And I would talk to other friends. My friend Lori always had brain fog, and she'd say, I think I hate that the most. I said, me too, because I could literally have so much on my to-do list and my day would just be so foggy, so unmotivated. I sometimes could easily sit for an hour and blank out and not remember really what I did for that hour. It's not like I was on social media. Social media has always been popular, but it wasn't really back when I was 47, 48, 49. It was more like Facebook, a little Instagram. We didn't have TikTok. I wasn't on YouTube. I'm just not one to watch YouTube videos very much. And so I would just sit and blank out. I would stare in the distance. I couldn't form a thought. Like I said, I'd have a huge to-do list, and I would think, why am I such a loser? Why can I not do this? Why can I not rally myself up? And exercise did help, and I even got into the keto diet at 50, 49, 50. I got into ketones. I used to work for a company called Prove It, and I drank ketones, and they like lit up my brain. But I didn't want to be on any type of a supplement that I needed that to wake my brain up. I really wanted to learn how to do it naturally, so I don't take those anymore. But the brain fog just got worse every single year. And so for me, that was the worst thing. I knew I was getting closer to menopause because my periods were becoming shorter. They might be every 35 days, every 40 days. They were maybe 2 or 3 days long, and that's it. I had always heard that going into menopause, you bleed profusely. Like, you better have massive, feminine products in the car at all times. I remember my mom being stuck in traffic in Los Angeles and saying, she was literally bleeding through her clothes, gushing out blood all over her car seat. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this sounds horrible. This sounds horrible. And my mother-in-law, same thing. She would say, oh, Michelle, I'd get out of the car and I'd walk into the grocery store and I could just feel a flood. And I'd look down and there was just blood everywhere. I know a lot of women experience that. I didn't for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I know that I take more after my dad's mom than my own mom. So maybe it wasn't in my DNA to have a really, really rough bleeding perimenopause. But for me, it was definitely the brain fog. Then, and the weight gain. And then what I noticed is after 50, I would say 51, 52, night sweats. And I had always heard about this. I would have friends say, buy microfiber or buy bamboo, because you will literally sweat through all of your sheets. You will sweat through all your PJs. It's absolutely horrible. You have to wake up in the middle of the night, take everything off, strip the bed, and put everything back on. Thankfully, that didn't happen to me either, but I did have night sweats. I would wake up a little schwitzy, right? And then, hold on, we got someone at the door. No one in my house respects what I do. Nobody. I'm the breadwinner and no one respects what I do. So the woman from American Airlines just dropped off my luggage. It got caught in Orlando on the way home from my cruise, which was great. I'll talk about that at another time. Okay, so now my biggest symptoms are the brain fog, which gets worse every year, and the night sweats are very frequent. But I wasn't experiencing hot flashes yet. So now let's cut to 53. And I wake up one day, it was in September, October, and I woke up one day and I looked in the mirror and this part of my face had just collapsed. And I had never heard about this. When I started talking openly about it, many people said, oh yeah, my face collapsed too. This is why it's so important to talk about it. But don't worry if you're here and freaked out, this collapse doesn't happen to everyone, but here's what does happen to everyone. As we near menopause, as we get into menopause, estrogen literally leaves the building. We are left with so little estrogen. Estrogen is our pretty hormone. Estrogen is what keeps us young and desirable to attract a mate, to procreate, right? That's the whole biological reason, right? Is we attract a mate to procreate. So we don't need that anymore now in our 50s. And so estrogen starts to leave. When estrogen leaves, two things happen. Your scaffolding in your face, your elastin, it starts to fall apart. And so think about a really nice tight piece of elastic, and elastic goes woo, and it really snaps back, right? Well, my elastic would go and then droop, and you'd pull it and it would droop, okay? So this is what's happening into our 50s and 60s, is the elastin is just gone. We are a long stretched out piece of elastic. Also, the collagen leaves, okay? So elastin and collagen. So this is what holds our face up. This is what keeps us youthful and pretty. Again, to attract a mate, to procreate. This is the whole reason God made us pretty. So what happened was I was losing my elastin and collagen, but it literally happened overnight. I woke up, and I'm not saying I didn't have a slight bit of jowl. I didn't say my neck was perfect. But what I did notice is when I woke up, I'm gonna get close because I did not have these marks. And then within these marks, there are 3 diagonal lines on each side. And they're getting deeper, okay? Because this happened at 53 and I'm 55. they're getting deeper because my face is collapsing. And not only did I notice, my family noticed. My husband and my daughter were like, what is that? So I know I was not imagining. And so I started researching, why did my face collapse literally overnight? Guess what? Estrogen left. My estrogen dropped like that. So this happens to many women. It might not happen to you, but it's the one thing that really shook me up the most was now, you know, this is how I make my living. I use my face to educate others. And my whole face collapsed, and it was demoralizing. And I don't want to be that vain person that puts everything into, like, I do not get my self-worth from my looks. I never have. My self-worth comes from God. It comes from the love of my family. It comes from the love of self. But the exterior is starting to fall apart, and that can be demoralizing, especially in the field that I'm in. So that really made me take notice. So when that happened, I also started noticing that the skin on my body, my arms, my legs were just starting to hang and kind of drape, like much like my neck skin is draping. The skin on my arms and legs were starting to drape too, and my tummy. And it was just so depressing. It was so depressing, but at least I can hide my body. I can't hide my face. I mean, it was kind of great during mask season because I would wear a mask to work and people would go, no way, are you 53 or 54? And I'd go, hold please. And I'd take off my mask and they'd go, oh, well, you still look really good, you know, because, you know, this is really where I show my age, all down here. So I started really researching, how to get through menopause. And one day, and this is never by chance, I did make up for a doctor for some type of website. I can't remember, but it was medical. And she was a beautiful Indian doctor. I only bring up her ethnicity because she said in her culture, you know, no one talks about it. Her mom didn't do HRT, but she said, oh, honey, the brain fog, it's for real. Yeah, the night sweats, yeah, you need a patch. And I'm like, a patch? And she's like, yeah, you just wear it down here in your bikini line and you trade it out every, 3 days. And she's like, it's changed my life. And I was like, really? So I started researching a patch, and I found on YouTube, I found Dr. Barbie Taylor, and she calls herself Menopause Barbie. And many of you may know her and many of you may not. I actually preferred listening to her podcast. I'm not really a huge YouTube watcher, and also a podcast. You don't have to have great Wi-Fi to listen to a podcast. So I could listen to it on long walks. I could listen to it on my commute. I loved it and I absorbed it because what I like about Dr. Barbie is she doesn't really have a dog in the fight. She tells you how to go natural, or she tells you how to do HRT, hormone replacement therapy. And she tells you the risks in both, and she tells you what you might experience in both. And I just found her really, really informative, and she really helped me make my decision. And I listened to her for about 2 months. This was a year and a half ago. I was about 2 months because I really wanted to make the right decision. Now, fortunately, the estradiol patch was available to me because I do not have any breast cancer in my family. My mom did pass away from a horrific stage 4 intestinal cancer, but not breast cancer. So if you have any breast cancer in your family, you're immediately ruled out. There was also huge studies, I believe in the 90s or 2000s, that estradiol can raise your risk of breast cancer. And it's true, it can, 1%. But of course, the media runs with it and freaks everyone out. So you have to know the risks. I was willing to live with a 1% risk. I'm very good about mammograms. I do the 3-dimensional ones, which can detect a grain of sand. I have been called back before for, I think, a fibroid or something. So I know that if I stay on top of it, I'll stay on top of this risk. Also, when you take estradiol, you have to take progesterone with it. Progesterone is the hormone that helps you get pregnant and stay pregnant, right? So progesterone mixed with the estradiol will prevent uterine cancer. If you took this alone, it could really rise in a risk of uterine cancer. So I take this every night. What I love about progesterone is It helps you to sleep more soundly, because that's another symptom I had in perimenopause: restless sleep, waking up like 12 times a night. I could always fall back asleep. It wasn't a problem, but waking up constantly, tossing and turning, burning up, waking up sweaty. So the progesterone has greatly helped in that. So I was going to make an appointment with Barbie, but she can only advise you. She's no longer, well, because she's in Houston and she's an OBGYN. And I thought, you know what? I have a really good OBGYN in my town who's she's just a gynecologist now. She got out of the OB and she just does gynecology, and she really concentrates on women's health and wellness. And so I went to see her, and she's the one who prescribed me the lowest dose of the estradiol and why I needed the progesterone, which is 200 milligrams a night. The progesterone also helps you get kind of sleepy. So it almost feels like melatonin, where you get a little groggy, not too much that you couldn't drive, but you just get a little groggy, tired. So I love the progesterone at night. And the patch I put on every Wednesday night and every Sunday night, and you switch sides. So I'll do the left side, the right side, the left. So you always switch it off, and it goes down above your, bikini area, or down below your bikini area. She said I was a great candidate for it because there was no breast cancer in my family. And so I went on it, and I almost immediately noticed a difference. I was sleeping almost through the night. I still can wake up 2 or 3 times, but again, I fall right back asleep. I do not wake up sweaty ever, 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 ever. And another thing that was happening to me in perimenopause is in the final couple years before I went on the estradiol, I was waking up with a smell that I had never smelled in my life. And my friend Natalie says it best: I smell like a goat. And I'm like, that's it. I smell like a sweaty farm animal. It is the most putrid sound, and it's a smell that has never, ever come off of me before. And it's not from the inside. It's almost like your skin and your clothes stink when you wake up every morning. It's almost like it's oozing out of you. It was the worst smell. And the best way I could say is I smelled like a goat. So that went away. I don't smell like a goat anymore when I started the HRT. I also started having hot flashes, and that's really, I was listening to Dr. Barbie, but it's really the hot flashes where all of a sudden I would feel like I was going to internally combust and like literally catch fire. I was like, oh, hell no, we're not doing this. And so I only had a few hot flashes in my life. I'm really, really fortunate. And it reminded me, because on the cruise, my friend Julie, we were all at dinner, and all of a sudden she just was flushed. She was pink and she was hot and she was doing this. She had a hysterectomy. She is on HRT, but I don't think she's on enough, because she had a huge hot flash at dinner. And I said, gosh, I don't get those anymore. I haven't had one in over a year and a half. She's like, you're so lucky. And I'm like, I know, I really am. So here's what I want you to know as you start to consider these decisions. And if you're older and you're here, it would be great. I mean, I really feel like we have such a great community here. I think it'd be great if you wanted to share any details from your story. Feel free to share that in comments. We're really here to pave the way for the younger women, right? So also my friend Kara, one of my best friends, she went through menopause pretty young. She was like 41, 42. And the doctor kept saying to her, no, you're too young. You're not going through menopause. And she went through menopause quite young, and she was not offered hormone replacement therapy. And so now she's 57, and she's, lived without it this long, but now she's going to see the detriment of not being on HRT, because here's what happens. Yes, your breast cancer risk goes up 1%, but again, mammograms every year. Just be really on top of that. What happens if you are not on HRT, if you are not taking estrogen, you have an increased risk of heart disease, Alzheimer's, and osteoporosis. So the estrogen is what keeps us young in the brain, young in the bones, young in the heart. And I don't have the statistics in front of me because it doesn't matter. I'm not an expert, and I'm sure there's varying degrees of statistics out there. But again, you need to do your own research. I'm just here to show you the way, to kind of push you on this path. I'm not here to sway you one way or the other. The reason I did not go natural is because it seemed too convoluted. There were too many variables. But the real clincher for me was I did not want a spike in Alzheimer's, osteoporosis, or heart disease. And so I feel like the HRT is going to keep me younger longer. Not so much my face, but my body. And so it's been wonderful. I have absolutely loved it. I've been on it a year and a half. I highly recommend it. But again, talk to your doctor. Another thing that Dr. Barbie said, and I see this a lot, is women are like, something's off, I don't feel right, I'm gonna go get blood work. This is what Dr. Barbie said. This is not me, but it's so clever. So let's say you take a 12-year-old girl and she's starting to develop buds or breasts and she starts her period. And would you take her to the doctor for a blood test to see if she was in puberty? You wouldn't. Those are indications that someone's in puberty. They're growing breasts, they're growing body hair, they menstruate. That's it, you're in puberty. So it's the same for perimenopause. And so many women go to doctors and the doctors, like to my friend Carrot, no, you're too young, or no, you're fine, give it a few years. That's so unfair. Or they'll say, well, let's do a blood test. Well, the problem with a blood test is, let's say you take one today, today's Monday, but then you take another one the following Friday, like 10 days later, and then you take one in a month. It's going to be all over the place. It's hormones. It's your hormones. It's all over the place. So they can be up and down, up and down, up and down. So a blood test to see if you're in perimenopause is really not a good indication you're in perimenopause. You know what it is? You sweat when you sleep, you're restless sleeping, you have brain fog, your skin on your face and your body is starting to drape, you're bleeding profusely. I could go on and on. There's far more symptoms than that. Those are the indications you're in perimenopause. Now, menopause means you've gone 1 year without a period. And so I'm there, baby. I'm menopause. And I did a funny video on it. I have not had a period in about 14 months. I kind of love it. I'm not going to lie, but I tell people when my younger friends complain about cramps or a period, I said, but you have your estrogen, you're still young and pretty. So I try to remind them of that. But yeah, I've been in menopause now. Menopause is 1 year, 0 period. And from what many of you have told me over on TikTok or Instagram is that you can go a full year without a period. You can still get a period down the line, could still have some kind of breakthrough period. And that's crazy to me. So, it could happen, it could not. I'm just kind of being open-minded, ready for anything, but I guess that could happen. So 1 year, no period, you are in menopause. So now I am post-menopause, right? Because now I am 1 year without menstruation. So I am now considered post-menopause the rest of my life. And as of right now, I plan on taking estradiol and progesterone the rest of my life. Do I need testosterone too? I don't know. She didn't offer that, but when I go back for a checkup to see how we're doing and maybe increase my dosage of this a little bit, if I need it, at that point we can decide testosterone. I will say that I know a lot of women, it's been a trend for 10, 15 years, go and get pellet injections into their butt cheeks. And that is not only not FDA approved, it is very costly. This insurance pays for this. This is $5. This is $5. Totally worth it. I mean, not everyone has good insurance, I understand, but it's still a lot cheaper than the pellets. The pellets are very expensive, and most menopause experts do not recommend pellets. Most doctors do not recommend pellets. So I would say to you, maybe really do your research on the pellets, but maybe some of you right now are watching this and saying, I get pellets, I love pellets. Well, great, tell us about it in comments, I'd love to hear more about it, but it's not covered by insurance. It's quite costly, and in no way is it as good as a patch and progesterone. It's just not, it's just not. So something to think about. But I really will point you to Dr. Barbie Taylor, Menopause Barbie, and I'll put a couple of my very, very favorite podcast links that she's done in my description. So today, under the title, just click the title and a description box will drop down, and I want you to click on any one of those and start listening to her. She's very unbiased, and she really does show you the path for either going natural or HRT. For me, HRT just seemed like the best fit. It really seemed like a very wise choice for me, and for a year and a half I have absolutely loved it. I really have. And I'll tell you another thing. Once in a blue moon, not often, but once in a blue moon, I forget to switch this out on, like, let's say a Sunday night, and all of a sudden it's Tuesday morning and I've woken up and I'm sweaty and I feel gross and stinky, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to change this Sunday night. So that's how you know it's working because there have been 3 times maybe in a year and a half that I forgot to do this on time. And boy, do you feel it a day later when you forget. So it does work. Anyway, that is all for now. I just wanted to share my hormone replacement therapy journey and menopause and all the things. I'm really embracing the second chapter of my life, and I'm really loving the place where I'm at. I love not having a period. I love HRT. The only thing I don't like is the droop. I don't like the droop. But I am scheduled for surgery, and I'll tell you more. I'm not doing the surgery that I told you guys about many, many months ago in August. I'm not doing that guy. I'm doing a whole new route, and I'll do a video on that soon because I want to bring you guys along for the journey and the cost and the healing and the prep and all the things. And I do have a unique situation in that I've got these pockets. Can you see that? Yeah, right there. See, it's like a pocket of fat. It's buccal fat. Now, we need buccal fat in our face. It's what keeps us fuller longer. It's what keeps us from hollowing out. So I like my buccal fat. But this is an additional little buccal pocket right here. And not very many women have it. Some women do. Some of you are out there screaming, I have it. Yeah, some of us do. It's hereditary. Not everyone gets it. And there's a special way to fix it. So that's part of my journey too. Anyway, I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I did, and I'm just really enjoying my time with my family. I'm going to be moving this whole front room upstairs to my studio during this Thanksgiving break, and so hopefully next week, I'll be coming to you from my new studio. We'll see. Well, I'm not gonna put pressure on myself, but it would be really great. I would love it. Okay, bye for now. And again, if you want to add anything of your journey in comments, feel free. I really want to build a community here where everyone feels safe to share without being judged or attacked by anyone. And I think we help one another when we share. Bye for now.